How you doing, Tracy?
Hey girl, hey. So I'm doing good. Tracy Constantine here with the Mother House PMA, Private Membership Association. I am a shaman and I have been an RN for quite a while, and now I'm a holistic healer at the Mother House. And my main thing is shadow work, but I'm realizing that there are many specialties that I dabble in, which is hormonal balance and autoimmune shit and mental shit, right? So I've been diving into my own OCD recently, so I feel very confident and wise in directing other people in this because this is what I've been practicing for quite a while. So feeling a little more gathered today. How about you?
Good. I feel good. It was a great weekend, and I'm Tagg. I focus on menopause and general women's health. I'm also a private practice membership of holistic alternative healing, and if you're suffering from any type of hormone issues, sleepless nights, night sweats, brain fog.
I love that. You must have the frog totem. Do you know the frog totem? You should look that up. It's all about cleansing. So that makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, love
Uh,
that.
Hair loss, weight gain, a
Oh,
lot of stuff that makes us feel like aliens in our body. I can give you alternative solutions to come back to self.
yeah,
So,
love that.
yay. Yeah. So,
Love that. I definitely would have reached out to you. I'm postmenopausal now, but but I have a good handle on maintaining the daily balance with that because I feel like, yeah, women need a lot of help in that area.
yeah,
Pre, during the actual, what is the guideline? Is it a year without your period? Then you're in menopause? Is that what they say?
that's what they say.
Okay.
However, there is a lot leading up to that year not having a period,
Oh,
that
good
is
point.
also related to, thyroid, diabetes, hypertension,
Mm,
fibroids. I mean, the list is extensive unless you go through a proper testing of past, present, to lead to the future of your toxin levels.
would you say that HTMA covers that? Would be,
Yes,
yeah, okay.
it yes, it covers your past.
What is HTMA? What is HTMA?
It is a hair analysis. So
Okay.
um, you're getting to the root cause of most of your ailments. I
Mm.
mean, what is hair? It is dead follicles that the body excretes, so it's
So
not
it
just
shows like a more comprehensive map, if you will.
yes,
Okay.
exactly right. It is a map. So
I
then
wonder, that's the part I'm not sure because we both offer that with our offers. Um, and so I'm wondering how, I don't know if you know this, but how long it gives you the view. Like, how long does your hair hold on to because HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis, it tests the hair for, I think the main components I feel like is the heavy metal testing, right? And then the other one is the electrolytes, the nutrients of the body, and also the relationship and ratios they have together and how your body is processing things.
exactly, it's all about the process because there are people who are functioning just well with heavy toxins in their system, on a poor diet,
Mm.
that has no problems whatsoever. And their bodies are able to process it. And then you have some people who are more sensitive. It's a imbalance of how you're processing these toxins that set you out of balance, off course. So, it's different from the blood test. The blood test shows you of the day, the moment,
And
versus
even a localized, I mean, it's not right. So yeah, that I mean, even you see it in the news with when they find like an old artifact, person from the ice age or whatever, and they got hair. I mean, they can, right? They can find stuff for hundreds of years worth
yeah,
of info. Yeah,
right. But you got to remember that's a fossil, and being is human. It's living.
it's living.
Right. So, it's ever changing. So, once we know where they are in the spectrum of their toxin level, we can go ahead and start treating that. And then I also have 2 more tests that I do within the full program, simply because we want the toxin level connecting with the gut as well.
And when we say treating, we mean treating the symptoms, not the disorder. That's left to the doctors. We don't do that.
Right.
We are just helping. We are like a life coach. We are helping them put all the pieces together. So they get the diagnostics, they get the analysis back, they get which ultimately gives them gives us all recommendations on the direction to go. And
Right.
then we are the guide and help them decipher everything and how to manage it in their life.
Right. I think the
Okay.
best misunderstanding about alternative medicines is that there's this whole battle between doctor and holistic. And really and truly, a doctor is there to help you with acute problems versus holistic. A coach is going to help you thrive in your environment. Big difference. It's so you have to seek alternative care versus right here, right now. Um, Give me some relief.
Yeah, and what I find is that the system, the medical mainstream system, isn't even set up for that. That's why you find, and this is what in my experience, is that you try and get into these specialties, say ortho or heart or lung or whatever, and even what's a good neuro is a good one, right? Because I'm a nurse in my past life, and so I've had to make appointments for people with like neuro, and I'm telling the wait list, you can't even get in.
You
For
cannot.
like 8 months, and I'm like, they're gonna be dead by then. Like,
Their nervous system is completely shot. By the
like,
time you do something about it, it's almost a little too late.
right.
So that's unfair to the doctor as well, because
Mhm,
they're not miracle workers.
mhm,
You know,
mhm, mhm,
so your practitioners is there for the journey.
mhm.
So
Yeah, my journey was I struggled with a lot of health issues, especially gynecologically. Um, and I would go to get my annual whatever, and they would say, looks good, right? And I'm like, why am I having all these issues? Like, um, and I don't mind saying some of the issues, like discharge and pain and um, it, you know. So, anyways, I'll get to the point, which is what I did was I went to a different holistic avenue, but I think it really mirrors the something like HTMA, which I went to thermography. Have you heard of thermography?
no, I haven't.
Thermography is, and we have a practitioner in our area that actually, like, he's holistic, so the mainstream doesn't really like to
Give, yeah.
acknowledge him. So, but he takes thermo photos of your body. So you can do like one of three things. You can do like just the breast area. You can do, I think, the whole upper, or you can do the full body, right?
Yeah.
And so I had that done, and it showed that I had pelvic congestion. Pelvic congestion syndrome, they call it.
Yeah.
And so I did a ton of research myself on this pelvic congestion thing, and found that the mainstream gynecological suit thing doesn't really recognize it as an issue.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kept getting looked over, like, no, you're good. I kept getting BV. I don't know if you know what BV is, but, and that kind of goes to the more systemic issues like autoimmune and all this stuff, right? To where BV is bacterial vaginosis, which ultimately is an overgrowth of a specific kind of bacteria, but it is not, and it shouldn't be treatable with, okay, it's treatable with an antibiotic, but what I found was that it was so reoccurring because the root cause of BV is that the pH in your vagina is off. Yeah. And why is your pH in your vagina off? Ultimately, because there was root shit that was even deeper than the BV that I had.
Yes.
Reoccurring. I needed to.
The additional side effect would be congestion, pelvic congestion. Yeah.
And all of the things and what I needed was I needed people like us who will go deeper, who will spend the time, and who is working from experience instead of what I had. But anyways, so did a lot of energy work, did a lot of herbal support.
Yeah.
Did a lot of learning about how I can reconnect with the body, the Mother Earth, and which is ultimately my body, right? And so that kind of stuff. And with the thermography and I'll get back to why I'm talking about the thermography in relation to HTMA. HTMA is good for practitioners such as us, holistic practitioners such as us, because it like thermography, you have to be in person.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so, but what it does is the same, which it gives a full body view of what's going on. And so what happened was they were able to look at all the heat sensors in my whole body and see where more inflammation was, where, and like how it all worked together in communication, and seeing what the root cause. And at the time, the root cause was the congestion in the pelvic area.
Right.
Once I realized that, and then I had the acknowledgement of something that I'm not just effing crazy. Because to me, that's what I felt like when I was going to these doctors' offices and they were like, "You're good."
Yes.
I'm at home struggling to stay alive. And nobody's listening to me, and nobody's paying attention to me, and they don't think that I'm like, I know my body. I know my body enough to know that something's wrong.
Yes.
And so I feel like that gave me the acknowledgement to at least know that I wasn't crazy, and that my body was trying to tell me something, and that I could start my shadow work as a component of so now I have the map in our case, it would be the HTMA. And then ultimately I could kind of work my way from ground zero. But before I didn't even know where ground zero was.
Right.
Where the hell is ground zero? I don't know, because I'm just running up and down the street like an idiot.
Yeah. Yes, I completely get it. You know, that reminded me of also in my previous life. I was working for a private sonography um, facility in their well women division.
What's sonography? I'm guessing it has to do with sound.
Ultrasound. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And this lady had came in and she felt something was off. Occasionally, we were contracted for small tissue or soft tissue ultrasounds as well. You know, liver, gallbladder, spleen, things like that. And so she was about, I want to say 24 weeks. And, as the ultrasound tech, you got to let the doctor give the.
Yeah, you can't say anything. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. And so I kept highlighting her numbers on a body organ that was showing up, giving her that confirmation that something is off, and it was kind of a sad situation, but she ended up having a healthy delivery and things like that. But the amount of pain that she was in was unnecessary while she was carrying, so sad.
Yeah, and I think that from what I feel, is not that our system is doing anything maliciously. I don't think that, our compartmentalized system is saying we want to hurt people. I don't think that at all. I think that they want to love people and they're doing the best that they can. Mm-hmm. I just think that for people like me, and you, who are a little more complicated, and a little more sensitive and need a little more attention, there should be a place for people like us to be able to go. And in my experience, I felt like it came to a place of life and death for me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. What quality of life do you have when you're falling apart and you can't put your finger on it?
And I started doing things like this. I started buying, really paying attention to my nutrition, and not only my nutrition, but also I started doing a lot of yoga, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people around me, right? Because I worked in the hospital at the time. They couldn't understand how I had the funds to make these switches, right? Buying all natural products and all that stuff, right? But it just takes a little brain work to figure out how to do it efficiently, right, and economically right for you. And it's not like you're spending more money. You're just moving your expenses and what you have, your outgoing shit. You're adjusting where you're putting it.
Well, correct. Right. Yeah.
So like ultimately, I used to get the best healthcare, right? Uh-huh. But then what I found was a lot of the practitioners and providers that I wanted to go to, whether it was acupuncture or an Eastern medicine, whatever it was that I massage, like I just wanted to take care of my body. They didn't take insurance.
Yeah.
So I'm paying all this shit ton money for great insurance, and there's no out of network, right?
Yeah.
And so ultimately for me, I started getting the lowest one that protected me in case of an emergency. And all of that extra money, I started to get what I wanted.
Yes.
And so I feel like that would be right. That would be the first step in making a transformation. Or for me, what I did when I felt like things were not working for me.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to look at my body on a whole level. And if I had something that needed to be compartmentalized, you know what? It's everywhere. You can get that type of medical assistance anywhere you want. There's every corner.
Yes, I agree, Tracy. Building that bridge of a holistic lifestyle is not something that we're conditioned to um, embrace, And so when you think of terms of investment, you have to be proactive in investing in yourself, because at the end of the day, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all these brands are not investing in you, and when you don't have a quality of life,
Sure.
you don't have nothing. There is no happiness. There is no community. There's just nothing but misery. And who really wants to live like that? I mean, we're here about a minute, How can you produce healthy offspring if you're sick? So
Yeah, and I find so one thing that I learned, this is so great. I love this story. When I worked in the hospital, I saw many people at the end of life. Just a fact. I saw hundreds of people at the end of life, and I saw all different kinds of death and what that looked like. And I remember two different scenarios. One was this lady was effing scared. She was like, I don't want to die. I think it was a gentleman. Yeah, it was a gentleman. He's like, I don't want to die. I just got all my money straight. I just got all my material things. I wanted to enjoy it, all this shit. He was pissed.
Yeah.
Don't want to die. I have all my shit.
Yeah.
Now I gotta get all my shit. Well, I don't know where my shit's gonna go, right? So of course I just sat with him and loved him for where he was at. Whatever. What can you do? And then I don't know. It was very short time in between this where I had another woman who, every time I would try to get her blood pressure, she was like, "Well, you just leave me alone. I'm ready to die. I had a great life. I'm good. I don't need you bothering me. Let me fucking die."
Yeah.
And it was that moment, I think, just looking back and reflecting on those two scenarios, that I realized, you can't bring the material with you where you go in the next place. And so in order for me to enjoy, and this brings me to my one more statement before I open it up. In order to enjoy life, you have to go to the root cause, and you have to look at the root cause of everything, whether that's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. And I could see that in those two people. The man, he did not take care of business at the root, and he thought just because he gathered all these things, he was good, and that's what was going to make him happy. And the lady, obviously, she lived, she experienced things, she did, she felt complete and was good. And that brings me to I forgot the last thing. Good old brain just goes away. But anyways, that's a good point, you know. Yeah, man, I really wanted this to remember.
And so you were talking about how the lady, she was like, I'm good, I'm ready to die, leave me alone. And
Yeah,
the
it
guy
was something it was some it was it was like a one-liner that I just recently heard, but I'm not gonna remember it because now I'm on the spot. And you know when you're on the spot, did you know that your body, when it gets nervous and your nervous system kicks in, it actually produces more cortisol, and the cortisol shuts down your memory a little bit. I don't know if it's just like makes it harder to get to or what, but ultimately that's why, you know, if you have test anxiety and you blank out because it's your body's natural way of protecting you, but ultimately
cortisol, that's, you know, it's connected to your legs, that's fight or flight, you know. Of course your brain's going to shut down. You know, stress will do that to you. Just being stressed will put you in that state where you're in a constant fight or flight. So
right. So I found that this is a good way to look at stress. We're never going to not have stress.
right. Yeah.
But our relationship to stress is the thing that we need to look at.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes. Yes. As some people function pretty well in a high stressful environment. I know I did for a while, quite a bit, actually kind of craved it, you know. But as time goes on, you know, I went through my own crisis, a death sentence. And my doctor said, if you don't make some necessary changes, you're not going to see your children graduate from high school. I'm like, wait a minute, my daughter's she's in 11th grade. She's a junior. What are you talking about? You know, that was a reality check. And so it was like, I surrender. Okay. All right. Let me just take a step back. Yeah. I had to go through that healing, that process, you know, and it wasn't easy simply because I was caught up in the lifestyle, you know, the status, you know, it really wasn't worth it at the end.
Yeah, I do know. We do need reality checks from our external world. You know, it's a good balance. It's a good balance. We need that. And that's a great point to show,
Yeah.
you know, that the doctors are
Luck-
also a good component of this.
Lucky for me, it was a friendship. You know, we were friends outside of the medical profession, because he just would have sent me to another specialist. You know, it's like, oof, yeah, here, let me give you, you know, so and so's name. But we had, and he gave me the talk. He's like, look, this is the deal. You know this, you know. So
And
when
this is a great point that really, that's why the people who are walking with this in this sacred space of health with us, they need to know more than 15 minutes high and by.
Yes,
they do. Like, you're not going to get to those root causes with that type of care. So if that's, you know, if that's what you're looking for, fine. But if that's what you got and you're not looking for that, then ultimately you need to reality check yourself. And I remember what I was going to say. And that is,
spit it out.
I'm on fire today. Okay. That is that well, I read it in a book. The father will fix the broken bone, and the mother will find out why the bone broke to begin with.
The mother will what?
find out why the bone broke to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a relationship there. And if
And
it's
so it's this holistic mindset, I would say, comes from the deep feminine. Yes, the masculine is there. Yes, fine. We love that. It needs the masculine spark shit, creative. It builds, right? It's built this beautiful world we have. But the feminine is going to go into those darker. And I'm not saying it's a woman. I'm saying the feminine within all of us, man, woman, even animals and plants. But the feminine is where we need to go, the dark unknown chaos, in order to find the fucking answers of why the bone broke.
right. There is no one is better than the other. They both bring balance. And that's the ultimate goal is balance. It's a stabilizer. It's the foundation.
Yes,
You know,
and I feel like one of the things that could, and I feel like this is going to open up, and I think it already has, that where people shy away from, say, holistic or quote unquote woo woo, I hate that, is because we're going a little deeper,
well,
and
yeah,
people are scared to open that up.
because they've been conditioned to think of division. One is better than the other. And that's not true. Both have their place. Both have their role and responsibility. And if you don't embrace it, what does that cause? Imbalance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And this is interesting. I just heard somebody say some of the deep work, or even superficial work, whatever, but some of this work that is in, say, the shadow. And when I say the shadow, I mean just the place where we put things in the darkness that we don't want to look at, or we do want to look at it, but it's ultimately we need a guide, because think of what our shadow that's behind us, right? You can't see that yourself. You need somebody to walk with you with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Until, the either the environment or the light changes and it's in front of you. And then all of a sudden that shadow is 10 feet tall, 20 feet
You
tall.
can just, I feel like it's
Yeah.
just getting right. So like if something is behind me and I'm constantly like, I don't know what it is. It's not that what's behind me that's scaring me. It's the actual fear that I have of what's behind me. And so if I can just work on, like with somebody, like if they tell me, okay, this is what's behind you, ultimately I can have less fear and kind of process through whatever I need to process, so that that can be there, and I get, like a better, I have a better relationship with the fear itself. The fear, shame, guilt, blame, whatever else is down there in those lower shit vibrations.
Yeah. You make a good point. You really do. You can't let that seed of fear root. You can't allow it, or else it's going to take over.
Been there, girlfriend. Been there.
Yeah. And our bodies are made up of water, along with the other elements as well. However, your body holds water, and it will carry shame and guilt that doesn't even belong to you.
That's a great point. I love that you just kind of connected it to the elements, and you can see when people hold on to water.
Yeah.
You can see it, and people, and I think ultimately that's what's going on for me right now is I had some edema or swelling in my right arm. And, I did a little bit of research on the new moon and the relationship to where the water is, and like kind of if it is it pushing or pulling right now? Where's the tide? How does that all work? I don't think I have a full understanding of it, but um, it's good that I have some of this, knowledge just to kind of look in these places and do, go to my own, because I never not have some type of a guide or teacher or something like that, whether it be a doctor or my spiritual advisor or just a really good friend that we can, you know, um, go through this. And early in my my illnesses disease and chronic illness, whatever, anything that I had, like, the earlier parts of that, I mean, I did what we're offering, which is, more of a intensive, I would call them, I guess. And so I needed to have that. And I really do feel like if people are making the transition from all one way to branching out into this more holistic approach, it's really important that you have somebody who has gone through it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was in the market. It's a co-op, not too far from me, and I was talking to one lady about some of the herbs in there, and she was dealing with some issues. But I knew her. She's a cashier, so there's an open dialogue that has been transpiring for the past 4 or 5 months. And so this other lady overheard the conversation, and she wanted to know what she could do about night sweats. And she wanted to know what she could take. So not knowing her, I tried to offer her advice about the process of elimination, because I don't know you. We're, you're wanting a solution that had no testing or previous history or anything of my knowledge that I can just say, oh yeah, take this, take that. No, not knowing where her toxin levels were, or her daily habits of what she eats. And
that's intensive. I mean, like, we need to get information. I got you.
Yeah. So I had gave her my information and suggested for her to go on my website and read about me and see if this seems like it's she could connect to and work with. And she refused to do that. She wanted answers, and she wanted it right then and there, and just kind of verbally beat me up about it. And it made me realize that a lot of us tend to look for perfection. We want to be fixed and we want to stay that way, but it's not a perfect world. So looking for perfection and answers, it's different for everyone. And so we have to realize that, okay, it's obvious you're out of balance, or else we would be having a different conversation. You would take my suggestions and we would, fix, or
Step by step.
Yeah, we'll go through the steps, but she did not want to do that. There was a sense of,
she wants you to fix her emergency.
Entitlement. Yes. And I totally get the statement, your emergency isn't my urgency. And if she couldn't respect my space and my suggestions, well, that already lets me know that it wouldn't have been a good patient or member, and you know.
Yeah, it's working off the old shit of codependency. And that is, I'm right there with you. I was talking to another practitioner recently, and she said that it reminded her, because I kept having a person that would call me in an emergency, and I think, I was this same person. I'm not knocking these people, but there's a place for them to go for that, and it's not here. And ultimately, she said that they wouldn't do same day appointments. And I just changed all of my things to you cannot do a same day appointment. And I think that's a great idea, because I feel like that takes, and kind of like what you're saying, like, I'm not going to therapy you. I mean, ever, but I'm not going to therapy you in the store now.
Right. Yes.
My energy is valuable. And so is yours.
And plus I had other obligations that I needed to, keep my commitment on. So that, that wasn't fair to, my people. So
yeah, I think it would, and I think this is the part that where it sounds like we both are moving from and into, which is, we trust that your body, I mean, obviously, if it's a true emergency, you can go to the emergency room or your doctor's.
Right.
But with the work that we do, where we're getting to the root cause of something, we trust that your body is going to, this is something that needs the sacred space of, where we both, and also, I would say God, but whatever God is to whatever you guys are, higher power, God, greater energy, that all needs to come together.
Yeah, it has to. I had a case study a couple of years ago where this lady, she came to me, and this is when I was competitive dancing. She came to me wanting private lessons. And she said she didn't want to compete. She really doesn't go out to any of the ballroom functions and stuff like that was around town. She just wanted it for herself. And so I started working with this lady, and it was like every other week she was buying new dance shoes. She said it would it would hurt her feet.
Oh.
And of course, muscles develop, and your feet are going to feel the ache of a growing muscle.
Right.
But working with her, getting to the root cause, it had nothing to do with her feet. It had everything to do what was going on in her head.
Nothing, a new pair of shoes wouldn't help, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so she had a blockage that stemmed from her adolescence.
Right.
She was a teenager at this time when this blockage occurred, and it had to do with her mother going back to work after being a housewife most of her life. And so she developed some self-esteem issues, and I had to make room in her, or help her make room in her mind for healthy thoughts of herself. You have wall-to-wall mirrors, and you're standing there and you're looking at yourself the way how your shadow is, your insecurities are, versus what I see in her and the potential that she has. Mm-hmm. So, I came up with, is it cannutations? Am I saying that right? For a basic box step that was in sync with her feet and her mind, to give her permission to think good thoughts about herself. You know, I am secure. I love myself. I am secure. So every time she would come in, you know, for private lessons, we would spend the first 15 minutes just drilling this in her until she started to show up in the confidence that she needed to complete this step. Muscle memory, and also timing of the rhythm, timing of her natural body movement, how she transitioned her weight, her thought process. She's processing this through, because eventually you want it to be automatic, you know?
Love that, because if you think of a box, right, it's like the foundation of a house. And so
correct. Yeah, we had
that strong foundation.
Yes. And so, you know, 4 or 5 lessons later, she started showing up and she's wearing red lipstick.
Yeah, girl, go ahead.
Her hair pinned up in back. She's fine, you know, she's feeling herself. And that was a breakthrough with her, that you want to see with every client, making a transition into a healthier state of being, you know?
Yeah. And it reminds me of something I had to experience too, which was, you know, I don't show this skin or this heart or this beauty for external. I show it for me. And it makes me feel good to do it. And another thing is that so, you know, I'm a warrior at heart. That's just what I am. I've always been that. And sometimes when I'm putting on makeup, I feel like it's like war paint. And not like I'm going to war, but it's just like fun to like kind of like reenact like some, you know, of our inner psyche, and in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't need to fight to put on war paint. I can, you know, like really do that type of thing and like get those primal feelings and that primal experience, and then, you know, not cut somebody's head off.
Yes, Tracy, hug and release. Hug and release.
Oh shit. I think we're at the time.
Yeah, I think we're at the time. I still think about those college days, so maybe Thursday you can
yeah, I don't remember what. It was like something had to do with yeah, I don't remember now. Whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't meant to be.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I guess we will pick it up in a couple of days. And of course, I'm Tagg, Menopause and General Health, Holistic Practitioner. And all my information will be in the description box below.
And I'm Tracy, and I'm with the Mother House, and I am a former RN in my past life. I guess I'm still an RN, but I'm practicing as a holistic health guide with the Mother House now. And I guess my specialties would be autoimmune and mental, you know, addiction, and hormonal imbalance. So if you like what you're here from either one of us, you want to jump on the boat, you want to jump in the boat with the hole in the bottom and then go down to the Crystal City, hit us up. Themotherhouse.org is where you can find me.
All right. Okay. We will catch you next video.